Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm joined here today with Marco Messina, also known as Marco Calcio 22 on Twitter and on YouTube, Italian Football TV. If you guys haven't checked out his channel yet, make sure to check the description down below. You can find a link to his channel there. And we are also joined here with Matt Santangelo from AC Milan Bros on Twitter. So make sure to follow him there as well. Gentlemen, we are here to talk about Vincenzo Montella because reports are coming in today saying that it's almost official. Montella will become Milan's new coach, and there's been reports coming in from Gazzetta, Sky, saying different contract deals. Gazzetta, for example, is saying he's going to sign a 2-year deal worth 2.3 million per year. Mediaset is saying he's going to sign a 4-year deal. But we all know the history with Milan and these coaches in these past few years. We've been signing coaches for these contracts, and then after not even the season, they get fired. So, Marco, I'm gonna start with you. What's your opinion on Vincenzo Montella joining Milan? Do you think he could be a coach that could come in and make the difference, or you think it's gonna take much more than that?
I'm a little bit skeptical of Montella, to be honest with you. I actually enjoyed his team at Fiorentina at the time. They were playing beautiful football, but then at Sampdoria, it didn't go so well. And I'm not sure if Montella is ready for a Milan, a Milan that needs to rebuild. I'm not sure if he's the right person to continue with that. I think that they do need to stick to a plan, and it looks like they're moving to this Ital Milan that we've heard a lot about. And I'm not sure that Montella is the right guy. We heard there's so many names on the list, though, that were going to coach. There was foreign coaches, and I almost felt like Giampaolo might have been better than Montella.
Yeah, because Giampaolo, up until a few days ago, was the main man, I think, to replace Brocchi. And then all of a sudden, once again, Montella's name came up, like from God knows
Yeah.
where. But yeah, like you said, he did quite well at Fiorentina, and I think a lot of people are criticizing him based on what he did at Sampdoria in that
Mhm.
half season or something that he coached there. And obviously, he didn't have the same caliber of players, and the team wasn't good in general. I think Milan's team, even with the current players, is better than Sampdoria. Let's be honest. Uh, but what do you think? Like with these current players, Matt, do you think Montella could still do something? I know you're expecting some signings to be made this summer, but what do you think? With this current Milan team, would Montella do a better job than what we saw with Mijalovic or even Brocchi for the last few games?
I think so. I mean, it's interesting. I was reading an article online earlier today, and I saw how someone hinted at that Montella rather that he's versatile in what formations he can field. He can field three in the back. He can field a 4-3-3 or a two-man striker setup. So the fact that he is versatile and he's able to adjust to his opponent, I think is a good thing for Milan, given the fact that we saw what kind of formations they were reeling out there each week. 4-4-2, 4-3-1-2, and then 4-3-3 at some point. So I think for that in that regard, I think that's what makes Montella a good fit for Milan. I know a lot of people are in angst over this move for whatever reason it may be, but for me, I think a lot of it's going to stem with getting the players that Montella can field and that can adhere to his system and his tactics, which has been a kind of an issue over the past few years with Milan. I think again, if with the new ownership and a fresh vision for the club moving forward, I think there's no question Montella can succeed. I mean, we saw what he did in spurts from while at Fiorentina, and I know David Amoyal, who featured on Italian Football TV yesterday, he made a good point. There's my plug there. He made a he no he made a good point. Rather, I forgot what he was saying, but something along the lines of today rather. I'm sorry. He was hinting at that it's tough to judge Montella's coaching career on the Sampdoria experience. I think that was a tough situation for anyone to kind of come in and survive. Of course, they were on the brink of relegation, and he was the off. So I think time will tell if Montella is the man for Milan. I do like the fact that he's been a guy they've been eyeing for quite some time, and to get a guy that's interested in the plan that we have going, or supposed plan we have going forward, is a good thing for Milan. It seems like they're finally starting to come together with some sort of strategy for the future.
Yeah, to me, the most important thing, like you mentioned, Matt, is that we get players that could play under system, because so many times I've seen different players at this Milan team, and for some reason they can't play that well under certain coaches. And I mean, we've had so many coaches, and I think they all said the same thing: these players are not good enough, or so forth. But Marco, what do you think? Like, what type of players could fit Montella's system? Like, maybe some players that he coached in the past from experience, like in terms of quality or characteristics. What players could really fit Montella's style, do you think?
Well, we know at Fiorentina he liked to play a possession football, and there were even talks like they used to call Fiorentina like a mini Barcelona of Serie A, the way that he liked to touch the ball and move. So Milan definitely need players like that. And just to touch on the Montella situation, I think they need to stick to a plan. So if they're going to go with Montella, they need to say, listen, you've got 2-3 years, whatever, not 1 year, not half a season. You've got this length of time, and we're going to let you build your team, and we'll stick to this. And I think they need players like, I mean, I would love a Borja Valero to see him at Milan. It's tough, but he needs those type of players who can distribute the ball and players who understand the Milan jersey, because I think Milan have really lacked a leader. And, you know, somebody like an Ibra who they used to have, or Shevchenko, or Kaká, or Gattuso, Maldini, like people who fought for the jersey, who understood what it meant to play for the jersey. And I think Montella is really going to need to build around, you know, people that will play possession football, who's going to stick to Milan, and, I mean, young players. And if Milan are going for this Ital Milan, we know they signed Lapadula. So.
Yeah, Lapadula is definitely an interesting player that I'm willing to see, but I think, you know, it seems like it's almost official. I just hope, like you mentioned, Marco, that they actually give him a chance and not do what they did with these coaches that they didn't even give them a full season. Like, be honest, Mihajlovic didn't even have that bad of a season, and yet he got completely dissed pretty much by firing him, like, so unexpectedly, you know. But like,
I agree 100%. I think that Mihajlovic, I mean, it wasn't the greatest season, but stick to a plan, you know. The guy actually, I felt like Mihajlovic had a vision. He had more of a vision than anyone else. And then you throw a guy like Brocchi into a situation where I think he was in over his head. And it's like, what do you do? Like, stick to it, you know. That's what's bothered me the most.
Yeah, it makes completely no sense. Also, I mean, Brocchi, he coached maybe 6-7 games, and himself he said that he wants to leave because he just doesn't feel comfortable in this type of situation where Berlusconi is trying to build, or at least they're planning to have talks regarding Milan's future, where they're going to need some certainties, and Brocchi's definitely not that certainty. At the same point, you're questioning yourself, if he wasn't that certainty, why would you even hire him in the first place? When you had a guy like Mihajlovic, I wasn't even having a bad season overall. That's just my take on that. But guys, let us know in the comments section what you think about Montella and his possible appointing, because as I mentioned before, it seems like it's almost official, not quite there yet, but chances are he will be announced either today or tomorrow as Milan's new coach. Now guys, let's speak about Milan's sale, because there are some reports coming in today giving some updates regarding the sale, and it seems that Milan are very close to ending and closing the club's sale deal with the Chinese. Berlusconi appears to be selling now 80% of Milan, and the announcement could be reached next week. So what do you think about that? Is this the right time? Do you think it's actually true or not finally coming in? What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're finally starting to see the sale come into place here. I mean, as I touched on with Marco on his channel, it feels like these rumors have been going on for months now, and the fact that it seems to be finally coming to an close, and then we could start moving forward, as I just mentioned, with a new vision before the Mercato gets up and swinging, is important for Milan. They can act and get the players they need moving forward to give Montella the best chance to succeed next year, which I felt was a little bit lacking last year. I felt like they had to scramble multiple times to get players that Mihajlovic wanted or desired. But this is finally coming, and I think the vision is a new vision and a fresh face up at the helm is needed for sure.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Marco?
No, I love what Matt you said moving forward because it's been like a merry-go-round since last year. I heard about Mr. B and all these sales, all these things. They need to move forward, you know. You need to stick to that plan, like we said. If you want Montella, okay, you believe Montella is the man, stay with him. Get the management sorted out and build from there. You know, it needs time to happen. It doesn't just happen in a season or not even a season with Mihalovic's case. I hope the sale goes through. You know, of course, you want to see Milan stay as an Italian club, but at the moment, I think their best interest is to sell. You know, Berlusconi, I don't know if he's made all the correct decisions. And credit him for what he's done with Milan in the past. But I think, sorry guys, there's a helicopter. New York is crazy. Sorry. You know, I think that it's time to move on. It's time for Milan to come back to where they need to be. And if they believe these Chinese investors are the thing to bring them back, then I'm all for it. And I just want to see Milan back to where they belong because we need their help in the Champions League.
Yeah, and I mean, the investments is without a doubt what Milan need. I don't care who it is, if it's the Chinese or from another country. The investments need to come in. They're not coming in from Berlusconi, and they gotta come in from somewhere, right?
Perfect.
But at this point, you know, I just hope that the deal gets closed soon enough. I mean, I'm not expecting a difference made right away in terms of money being splashed right away on the market, even though you're kind of expecting that to be made before the season starts. But, you know, with the negotiations going on with players, teams, and so forth, it's not going to be simple. It's not going to be fast enough to get those guarantees right away, in my opinion. I think it's going to take some time to actually sit down with Montella, discuss the possibilities that could be there, and in the end make this final decision based on his preferences. Because, you know, many times I think that it's more of like what Berlusconi wanted in terms of players and not really what the coach wanted.
Yeah,
you're trying to find those players that are going to fit under your system, but at the same time you have that major influence from Berlusconi and Galliani at some point as well that just doesn't allow the coach to get those players that he needs.
Weren't they saying last year that Berlusconi was telling Mihalovic to play certain players, or I think it was play a certain formation? Like, if you believe in the coach, let him do his job, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And so many times I said it, you know, if he's trying to make the decisions, why doesn't he coach himself?
Coach,
right?
yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
Yeah, so I think with this possible deal getting through, maybe we won't be subject to seeing such things from Berlusconi anymore, and the Chinese could actually allow the coach to work in peace and work with what he has at his disposition. But that's my thought. Finally, guys, I wanted to touch upon De Sciglio. We all saw his great performance against Spain last night. That's it. And really, he surprised me. For the game that he played, I wasn't expecting De Sciglio to have such an amazing performance against the likes of Spain. You know, much more talented players, at least on paper, but De Sciglio was able to close them down quite well. What were your thoughts on De Sciglio last night, Matt?
I thought he was fantastic, you know, and which is a word we haven't associated with Mattia in quite some time at the club level. No, the thing is, and the thing that I've found fascinating about this whole situation is that De Sciglio was so good under Allegri in his early years with Milan, and we thought, you know, everyone was pegging him to be next Maldini, which, I mean, obviously most people were skeptical of. I mean, that's holding a young player in high regard. But the thing that I can feel for in Mattia's situation is the unrest and the turmoil inside the club in terms of the managers coming and going, and I think that doesn't help a young player develop to the way he needs to. And we saw a lot of the young players, they didn't make that next leap in their career that we've seen at other clubs. To the Juventus's credit, you know, everyone was criticizing them for not playing Rugani and this and that, but I think Rugani and Allegri, they're all on the same page as to what is best for the player moving forward. He's still young. They don't want to rush the kid. They want him to be set up for success. and to eventually, replace one of the players at BBC. So I think with Mattia, it's what we saw at the Italy level. It is something that we can look forward to and lay our hands on for the future. I think he's a player. He's still 23, the same age as El Shaarawy, which we do tend to forget. I wouldn't give up on a player like this. I think there's a reason why Napoli and Juventus fans are vying for De Sciglio, because I think they know that if they're able to get a guy of his caliber, his age, there's no limitations as to how good he can be. I mean, there's a reason Conte picked him for the Azzurri, and he was only the only Milan player that actually make the Italy team. So I just don't think it's the time to give up on him. I think you get Montella in the fold, you let him coach him, and let him be the guy to get Mattia to where he needs to be in his career.
Yeah, we definitely saw a different attitude from De Sciglio, I think, in this Italian team. Maybe under Conte, he actually set him right. I think he did such a fantastic job with Mattia, but I'll be the first one to admit I've criticized this guy so much in the past. But honestly speaking, I think that, like you mentioned, Matt, with like a calm environment and with the possibility of these players actually playing calmly under a coach where you don't hear media buzz all over them on every given day, I think he could become a better player overall. Now, Marco, in these past few days, we've heard reports of so many teams being interested in De Sciglio. There's reports of Napoli set to even being offering 15 million euros to Milan for De Sciglio, and there's also talks of him being linked with Juventus and Roma and also other foreign clubs. What do you think? Will De Sciglio remain at Milan this summer or not? I mean, the price tag, 15 million euros, is something that Milan have to consider based on his previous performances in these past few years. But like we just mentioned, there's a possibility that this player could revive himself under a calm environment. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Real quick, I want to agree with both of you, and I think what you touched on as the environment, it's almost like a cancer to a player. It was Inzaghi, then Seedorf, then Mihalovic, and then Brocchi. Like, you're trying to impress your coach, and then he's gone already. It's not an easy place for a player to grow, and I think it's hard for any of us to say what's going to happen in his future. De Sciglio, he could be upset and want to leave Milan, but I think you need to see what Montella wants. If Montella becomes the coach, it's going to see his system, and if De Sciglio will fit what he wants. I think he's young Italian. We've seen that he has the skill. We've seen under Conte a coach that's trusted him, who's put his belief in him, and who's created like a great unity amongst the team and made them all feel important. He shined, and like Matt said about under Allegri, he was next Maldini. That's heavy to have on your shoulders. I think that Montella needs to come in quick, and Milan, once the preseason starts, we'll see where it develops. What players need to come in, which players are going to stay, and who's not Milan quality. 15 million is a lot, and if a team like Napoli shows faith in him, if Sarri shows faith in him, or if he wants to rejoin Juventus, which I see it like not so possible with Juventus, then why not for De Sciglio? He needs to speak with Montella, and he needs to see if his future, if he's got a future with them and with the club too, because I think the management also makes a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to point out the fact though is that can Mattia make those steps forward when it's kind of crowded at fullback? I mean, we just signed Vangioni, we re-signed Antonelli and Calabria, and then last year we extended Abate. So, and of course we didn't see much of Mattia this year. So where does that leave him? Is if 15, 16 million comes on the table for him, are you going to reject that when you have 3 or 4 guys already on the team that were playing more than he was last year? So I don't know. It's interesting to see where they go with him. I mean, are they going to pull an El Shaarawy type where they loan him out maybe with an option? Who knows? I'm not too sure, but I think Milan it's in the best interest to at least give him 1 more year under a coach with a little bit more of a plan moving forward rather than sell him. But at this point, they may say, you know what, thanks but no thanks. We're going to take it for you because we have a couple of the guys in the fold ready to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you mentioned, with all these fullbacks, there's going to be such great competition in that position in the following season. And at the same time, I wanted to talk about his agent saying just a few days ago that despite all this interest, it's great to see for Mattia, but he will be remaining at Milan. These are the words from the agent. But at the same time, when such an offer comes to the table and you consider all these different signings that you made, the renewals and so forth, you know, it's a tough decision to make because you're taking a gamble on a player that didn't really do that well in these past years, and somehow you just manage magically, you know, kind of appeared and revived himself under Conte at Italy. So it's kind of a gamble, I think, in my opinion, whether to either keep him or let him go for that price. But would you sell him or not? That's my question. Would you sell him or not?
I would not. I would not. I just don't want to make the same mistake that we made with El Shaarawy, where he thrives under a manager who believes in him and really has, you know, that mentality to put him in a situation where he can succeed. I just don't. I think he's too young to just give up on him. When it's more been on Milan for not developing players rather than the player not developing himself. There's no question about Mattia's, you know, work rate and his energy and his commitment to the team. I think that's never been an issue. It's just when you have unrest at the club, I think that's where you run into issues with player development.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Marco, some final thoughts on De Sciglio?
I'm in agreement with Matt too. I would say no, just for right now. Like, you need to speak to Montella first. You know, anything could change. If Montella likes him, you know, he stays. If Montella doesn't like him, he leaves. But at this moment, I would say it's too hard to say, you know, sell him right now.
I think it's something that will develop in the next few weeks. I think it's way too early, or at least after the Euro, proper judgment should be made then, because really all this talk of transfer throughout the Euro, I think just could impact the player as well. So it's not healthy to see just for the player himself, but we'll see what happens with De Sciglio. But that wraps up today's AC Milan discussion. Thank you, Marco and Matt, for joining me talking about Milan. And don't forget, guys, to follow them and subscribe to Marco's channel. All the links are down below in the description below. And let me know what you guys think about Montella joining as Milan's coach, the Berlusconi sale with the Chinese, and finally De Sciglio. Thank you for joining me once again, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan. And I'll catch you guys later for another video. As always, Forza Milan.